Good evening, everybody. It has been chucking it down with rain. It's very cold and it's very quiet around Carrow Road tonight. And we'll touch on that in a moment. But Norwich City are playing tonight, Wednesday on a Wednesday, as the comedic saying goes. Norwich City, of course, after a 0-0 draw against Preston on Saturday, I think it's fair to say this is probably a must-win before what is quite a small game on Saturday that I'm sure we'll get into towards the end of this broadcast against Ipswich Town. We're going to bring you the team news as and when it drops in about a minute's time or so. Paddy Davitt is to my right. Paddy, I think we both made the observation. Very quiet here tonight.
Well, yeah, very understatement. I mean, it's an hour to kick off. But the walk to the ground tonight, yeah, strange. I mean,
I had to check it was definitely still on.
No, I mean, I'm going to throw it out there before anybody else does. Maybe from inside the football club. Oh, it's Christmas. The weather's miserable, and there's the team news, mate. I'll break off.
Well, it's just flashed upon us. I think that's a little bit early.
That was a teaser. Angus Gunn was in goal. I could tell you.
Yeah, I saw Borja Sainz in the starting 11 as well. So
Borja Sainz was at the 11, was he? Starting, excellent. Yeah. Not before time. Was on L in the 11.
Didn't see.
No, didn't see. There you go. There's an advance. Little bit of
Borja Sainz.
Unless your eyesight is wrong, Connor, but we'll trust your eyesight.
It was definitely 1 then 7. So,
well, good. Well, maybe those ones who are staying away might want to get in their cars and get down it because every little cameo we've seen of him, he feels to me he makes things happen. So nobody's saying here we go.
And here we go. It is a first start for Borja Sainz as teased there by Norwich City. It is Gunn in goal, Fisher, Duffy, McLean, and Yanulis as the back four. Nunez and Sarah the midfield three. Rowe and Sainz, Barnes and Ida, which I think is certainly the attacking quartet that I think most Norwich fans will have wanted to see. So I'll read that for you again. Gunn in goal, Callum Fisher, Shane Duffy, Kenny McLean and Dimi Yanulis the back four. Nunez and Sarah the midfield two. Rowe and Sainz on either flank with Ashley Barnes and Adam Ida up front. The subs bench, Long, Stacey, McCallum, Bart, Forshaw, Fashnacht, Gibbs, Projeta and Hernandez. On so many of these broadcasts, we've spoken about Borja Sainz. When will he start? Why hasn't he started? He starts tonight.
You're not wrong. You asked him, David, again yesterday. I've asked him quite a lot. And yesterday he said he will start very soon. Well, he was true to his word. And no Fashnacht, no Hernandez. I think they've been listening to us on the Pink Pod, or maybe me, mate. Because
you haven't got to go home now.
No, thank the Lord. Well, was that? Maybe that's not a good thing. Maybe that's not a good thing. But no, that. Yeah, certainly wanted to see Borja Sainz in the 11. I was saying just before, we moved on slightly that he's not the answer to all the ills, but him and Rowe, yes, please, let's see that in from the start. Let's get some excitement in this team amongst this fan base. Fisher for Long, that's an interesting call as well. But I like that. Of the available attacking options in terms of the middle two in the centre of the park and the four ahead of them without Sargent quite yet, that's where my head would be at. So it's up to those lads to perform now, isn't it? Thank you.
Yeah, agreed. I think there's been a real clamour for a long period of time. Thank you very much for particularly those wide pairings, Rowe and Sainz. I think we've kind of seen either or. Sainz hasn't been given a lot of football. It's going to be a really interesting opportunity for him tonight as well, ahead of obviously that East Anglian derby on Saturday to make his claim. Callum Fisher in at right back as well over Jack Stacey. It's a substitution that we saw in the latter stages of that game on Saturday. What do you think the thinking is there from David Wagner? Just an attempt maybe to freshen up ahead of what is quite a busy week?
In general, or right back?
Right back.
Yeah, just a right back. I mean, let's be honest. Jack Stacey, this vintage of Jack Stacey, isn't what we saw in that first 8-9 game swing. But you could say that for Norwich as a collective. It looks a pale imitation going forward, as the team do, and defensively, quite a number of games now, he looks not the best defensively. So, yeah, I don't think you put those two elements together. Has he nailed down the right back spot? No. So, and with young Fisher, you will get that energy. And I mean, it's interesting who we're assuming it's John Rowe ahead of him. I mean, if it is, that's a very inexperienced young right-hand side. Conversely, if you're Sheffield Wednesday and you're attuned to that, you might want to try and probe for those two very young men on the right-hand side, but let's hope it goes the other way and that they think, right, I'm going to show you tonight, if you're Callum Fisher, I want to be Norwich's right back in the Championship. It might have come early for him in his career, but what we like about him is that he looks quite fearless and quite composed when he's been put in these situations, even at Sunderland that day. poor overall. But he didn't look out of place against a very good player that day, Jack Harrison, wasn't it? So yeah, I'm quite happy to see him in instead of Stacey. And but yeah, further forward, that's now I'm quite looking forward to seeing that. If we get the Zara and Nunes control we had on Saturday, at least now you think with Rowe and Sainz particularly, you've got some real penetrative options there in wide areas. And if that is the case, then I'm sure Barnes and Eder will quite enjoy that type of service because it was far too pedestrian, far too laboured. Preston just sat deep, didn't they? And Norwich didn't really have the goal or the invention to break them down. At least tonight it feels, if you're Borja Sainz and John Rowe, go and express yourselves and carry the fight. And if they do that, let's hope that translates into something that we can, get from tonight in terms of result. But because it is dominating the week now, that you can then bounce into Portman Road and at least feel that they can be competitive, which would be a start, I think.
Yeah, agreed. Let's bring that Sheffield Wednesday lineup if we can, which I think we can. There we go. Dawson in goal, Palmer, Diaby, Ihikwa, and Famewu, of course, formerly of this parish, that makes up their back four. Byers, Barry Bannon, and Will Volks as their midfield three. Musaba, Kadamari, and Patterson. He returns from an illness that meant he missed the weekend win at Stoke. Sheffield Wednesday bounced into this game on the back of back-to-back wins, and before that was a 1-1 draw against Leicester. So they're in good nick. They've been improving under Danny Roll, and it feels like the results are beginning to catch up maybe with that improvement in terms of performances. But they have only taken 4 points on the road this season. I mean, before we perhaps move on to the weekend, Pad, which I think we'll talk about a little bit in relation to the team news and the bigger picture. Must win tonight, isn't it, for Norwich City? Yeah, it's got to be. And as we said on the pod, not because it's much of a muchness where they are in the table. But I was looking at the table actually about an hour or so ago, and Preston have won again last night, and I think they're 5 points clear from Norwich, and they're 6 off the top 6, and they're right in the mix. I think they're 8th though. I think they're 8th or 9th. So, and that Preston we saw here, if Norwich aren't better than that Preston, then I'm sorry, but the game is up really. Whether it was this head coach or another head coach, that group of players are not better than Norwich's group of players. So we don't need to reopen, why we've got to the position where we are now. But tonight, you win the game tonight. Not only for the league table, but I just think, with Saturday around the corner, and as David himself said the other day, this is a very busy period now. You can really get yourself moving and get yourself back in touch with the top 6 because there's so many games. Sargent to come back into the mix. I think if they won tonight, it'd be 4 wins in 5, if I'm not mistaken, which you can't argue with. That is a very good seam of championship form. You're going to correct me there, aren't you? But 4 in 6, and a draw in the other one. So, that one defeat in 6 that feels a little bit more healthy, doesn't it? So, and a base to build from. But but then you flip it, here today, and it'll be 1 in 4, 1 in 3. So and it's the Carrow Road line as well, isn't it? The Carrow Road. He's lost more than he's won as manager of Norwich in the championship at Carrow Road. That's not a basis to do anything. The nature of that laboured performance against Preston as well does nothing to lift the hardy souls who do turn up tonight, and it needs it. For me, it's almost about the performance tonight. And if there is something that can engender some optimism and excitement and enthusiasm, that's probably a bigger dividend moving forward than just purely the 3 points tonight. Because, if it was a Preston-type performance and Liam Gibbs et al. Put their chance in and they win 1-0, does that move anything much further forward? Not for me, really. They're going to, we'll get into Ipswich in due course in the days ahead, and we'll touch on it tonight, I'm sure, in this broadcast. But to go there with any semblance of we can avoid the fate that many fear, they have to bounce into that off the back of a very good performance tonight, I think, because another scratchy, disjointed sense of things are still not right under this head coach. I don't think serves any real purpose tonight. So massive must-win game for me tonight. You? Yeah, agreed. I think to come out of this 2 home games, I think as we said on Saturday, to be fair, I felt they needed 6, but I think you could make an argument that 4 was probably about par. So if they come out of these 2 home games with 4 points, I think that's probably pretty decent. Anything less than that, I think, would be a real disappointment, obviously, heading into Saturday's game. Just finally, before we perhaps look ahead a little bit to Saturday, how do you see this game going? Score prediction? I'm giving it too much thought prior to that team news, but
if you're Borja Science, tonight is your night, isn't it? If you're the type of player and everything we've seen from observing his career from afar, particularly in Turkey last season, he wants to be the main man. He wants to weigh in with goals and assists. And he must be desperate for a chance at the start, and he's got one tonight. And if John Rowe is back to the levels of the John Rowe earlier in the season, then Norwich will have too much for Sheffield Wednesday. Albeit it won't be easy, but 2-1 Norwich. You?
I think what we'll get is, I think I said this on the pod, a very similar game, and Norwich will scrape through. Goal in either half, 2-0, I think is what I'm going to go for tonight, and that would obviously lead us nicely and segues us nicely into Saturday, because there are a lot of fans, I think, before this game, after this game especially, will be thinking about Saturday. It was a 2-1 win for Ipswich Town over Watford. Which again we can link to today's game. We can link to that team news. So I guess the first point would be, how much of that team do you feel is David Wagner thinking about taking any consideration into Saturday? To me, he probably feels like very little.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ultimately, if this team perform tonight, both get the result, get something moving in terms of, right, now we can see what this is all about now in terms of the structure. For me, despite the result and maybe the laboured nature of the performance, you can see elements of what they're trying to do now in the last 2 or 3 games. Not enough, but you can see something. If they can add a bit more in the final third tonight, then I think this 11 would deserve to go again at Ipswich, because some of these players on the bench have had plenty of opportunities, notably in wide areas, and they've not really delivered. So it's, in terms of Saturday selection, for me, it's all up for debate tonight. If this team perform tonight, there's not going to be any of the injured lads back between now and then. Go with these again. Why not? They'll be full of confidence if they perform tonight, won't they? So, but what I would say, I saw a very, for me, relevant tweet in terms of Ipswich. Norwich went to Watford very recently, 2-0 up, get beat 3-2. They were 1-0 down, come back to win. So, irrespective of who the Norwich 11 is at Portman Road on Saturday lunchtime, I think we all know that's going to be a very, very difficult assignment. But maybe we'll park that until this 90 minutes are out of the way, and then we'll see where we are.
Yeah, we're going to do a podcast with a little bit more preview in terms of Ipswich, but that kind of is the theme, I think, running through tonight, isn't it? Tonight's a great opportunity, if nothing else, just to maybe put, I don't want to say total optimism, but certainly a little bit more optimism into these supporters and those watching at home who are maybe a little bit, I don't want to use the word fearful, but maybe not looking forward to the derby, if I'm to be diplomatic.
No, I think fearful is probably right. Yeah, the ones I've interacted with, yeah, it's almost please don't be too severe on us, and we'll scuttle off, and you can crack on with your promotion push. I think we'll probably leave that, and we'll get into that. We're going to record a pod, aren't we, tomorrow, which will be Derby focused. So and we'll have a bit of a view from over the border with our colleagues over in Suffolk. So yeah, I mean, so much could be coloured by tonight. You know, if you get a really positive performance, few goals, Science looks like he's got something about him. Rowe, Eder again, Sarah, Nunes continue where they left off against Preston. Then it feels like, okay, yeah, we know how good Ipswich are this season. We know how very good they are at Portman Road, but nothing to fear. But you know, if it goes the other way, and as you said, it's a continuation of Preston, then it'll only sort of magnify that sense of dread, I think, which a lot of Norwich fans feel at the minute. You know, what are they now? 24 points clear. I mean, that's ridiculous, really. All logic dictates what the outcome will be at Portman Road, but I'm not going to lapse into cliches. But you know, we know what derbies do in terms of form lines and what have you. But all I'll say is, as it stands, if we get a Preston performance, then it's going to do nothing to lift the mood, is it? Or give these fans who are here tonight and anybody who's watching from afar any belief that the 209 and counting is not going to end on Saturday lunchtime.
Yeah, indeed. That probably brings us nicely to the end. I'll just bring you through that Norwich 11 again. Gunn in goal, Fisher, McLean, Duffy and Yanulis as the back four, Rowe and Sarah the midfield two, Rowe and Sainz on either flank, with Barnes and Eder up front. The subs: George Long, Jack Stacey, Liam Gibbs, Sam McCallum, Christian Fashnacht, Shemisov Poaheta, Danny Bart, Onel Hernandez and Adam Forshaw. Pinkin.com, of course, the place to go. Got a special December deal if you'd like to come and subscribe and join us on the app as well. You can go and check that out over our website as well. We've had a lot of good take up on that, which has been nice. So come and join us. Great time ahead of obviously the East Anglian Derby on Saturday, or not. It depends on your view, but certainly give us a look if you enjoy these videos that we produce before games and afterwards as well. Thank you very much for watching. Let's see what we get at Carrow Road tonight. See you soon.